Good morning, Bill.
Gentlemen, how are you today?
Well, I appreciate you being on. Gosh, what a job you've done. And it's, I used to see you some when I came over there to Tulsa or somewhere to see my kids coach. And, boy, you've done great. Congratulations to you on those 12 championships in a row.
Oh, thanks, Coach. And if I remember right, he was at Lipscomb. Is that right? When he come down there and play in the NAI national tournament. So I hope I hope that you and all your family's doing well. Barry, hope you're doing good too.
Doing good. Bill, tell us about, you only won 12. What happened to 13th? How come you didn't win 13 in a row? You only been there 12 years?
Well, no, we jacked around the first year and finished that gummit. But no, we've had a good run. We've been really fortunate because we've had really good players, as you guys know, and the guys kind of, means a lot to them. Of course, it means a lot to a lot of folks, but they somehow kind of rise to the level when they have to. We've been good during the regular season a lot. Haven't been very consistent in the postseason. Been really good and been not very good at all. So hopefully this will be a year we can kind of put it all together.
I look at your stats, and I know everybody wants to recruit good shooters, but you're 43% from the threes, and you're almost 50 from inside the threes. You're 70 at the line. Is this a basketball team that you recruited good shooters, or you emphasize that, or it just happened to fall that way?
Well, I think everybody wants to recruit good ones, but I think it's also kind of fallen that way too. We've got a couple of guys on the perimeter, Graham, Mason, that we did not recruit as shooters. We just recruited as good guards that can make plays for others and themselves. And they've really worked on it and become pretty good behind the arc. But really the reason why we shoot a pretty good percentage probably behind the arc as much as anything is our benches. The bench are good shooters. And we got a couple of guys that when they're on, they're really on. In Green and our Ukrainian kid, Mikhail, those guys kind of give us an element that a lot of teams don't have.
Yeah.
We're talking to Bill Self, head coach at Kansas. Bill, tell them about the atmosphere there at Allen Fieldhouse at Kansas. I kind of maybe relate it to Alabama football here. When they walk in the stadium, they just have a mindset that they think they're going to win. I never think you guys are going to lose, and you never do at home. Whether you're down late, you kind of have a confidence about you. You know how to work the referees, but your fans are great, and your players obviously feed off of that. Just talk about the atmosphere in Allen Fieldhouse.
Well, I've never been to a football game there, but people tell me it is tough. There's a ton of respect for the game and how the game's played. I think in large part because of the inventor of the game, and you guys know was our first coach, and it just generationally, this has been passed down. That this is just kind of how we do it and how we compete and play, and so. It's one of those atmospheres that you got to win. You want to win, but they also want to see guys just as badly try hard and play together and play unselfish. And it's regardless of who we play, there's 16,000 there every night, and regardless of who we play, when the guys come out to warm up 30 minutes prior. The student section's full, and probably the vast majority of the people are already in their seats. And you're right. I think there's a lot of great atmospheres out there. We play in a lot of them, but night in and night out, I don't know if anybody would have the consistent atmosphere that we have.
Bill, I don't want to get into a rules discussion because I don't like the ones that make them, and I sure don't like the referees that call them particularly. But no, I'm just kidding. But should we go to 6 fouls is one question. And the second question would be, has the way that we've tried to get freedom of movement, is that better than it was? I like taking the 5-second count off. But talk a little bit about what you think.
I do think it's better. I think, I don't know if there's necessarily new rules are better. It's just the way that they're being emphasized and called. I think that it is better. I was not a fan of taking the 5-second call off, but after playing with it for a year, I think it's okay. I thought it'd be too much of an advantage to offensive teams if they would just hold the ball and put the ball in their hip, dribble out the clock. that does happen, but it doesn't happen quite as much as what you think. So I think that's actually been good. The six foul, I don't think I'd be a fan of. I think that brings fans definitely pay to see the best players stay in the game. But I do think that brings in a lot of strategy and being able to utilize your bench and buying time. So I think it's okay the way it is. But the thing that I would like to do is go to 4 quarters. We're the only sport that doesn't have 4 quarters, that plays quarters, and we play halves instead. And the reason for that, Coach, is I think that we lose so much defensive intensity when the other team is in the bonus with 12 left in the first half, and you're basically playing not to foul the rest of the half. I think it'd be a better game and more aggressive play if it reset at the end of 10 minutes each quarter. Where teams can go back, pressing teams can press, or you can go back to pressuring or whatever. I do think that would be a good rule change that I know that they'll look at moving forward.
Bill, talk a little bit about the Big 12. Here we're in the SEC country, but the Big 12, I would argue probably the best league in basketball that I've seen. It seems like every time you look up, you go, God, they got to play them tonight? Like I thought they were going to have a break. There is no break when you play in the Big 12, is there?
No, there's no break. The league's been good for a long time. I think this is the 4th time in the last 7 years that our RPI is the number 1 league in the country, toughest league. And I know that doesn't always speak to the actual truth, but for the most part, it gives you a pretty good idea. You don't have the best RPI league in the country, and somebody say, well, that's the 4th best league. I mean, you're definitely in the discussion to be one of the best, but this year is probably the best it's been, and it's been really good in the past. But, right now, I think we have 6 teams in the top 25 and a 7th team that's hovering right there. It's been really good. We've had 3 teams in the top 10 for a good majority of the year, and I think at one time we may have had 4 in the top 10. So it's been good. Hugs at West Virginia has had I don't know if you guys have watched them. They're hard to play against.
Yeah, they are.
A great job, and of course Oklahoma's had a remarkable year, and we've had a pretty good year. Iowa State's had a good year. They're in the top 20. We played them Saturday. Texas and Shaka has done some great things this year. Baylor's been in the top 25 all year. And maybe the surprise team is Tubby at Tech. Here's a guy that should have his team in the tournament without question, and that was preseason picked 10th in our league. So we've got a nice stable of teams, and certainly. If you're going to be considered the best league in America, you got to do it in the postseason. And we failed miserably last year in the postseason, not only us, but in the league. So we need to do much better this year.
Well, I'll tell you, your recruiting, of course, Joe's gone now, worked with you for a long time. But your recruiting, when it used to be that I would try to recruit somebody in Kentucky to go in, I'd have a hard time even get them to visit. And I think it's a little bit with you when Kansas goes in to look at somebody with the tradition and so forth that you have. That doesn't mean you're going to get them, but the guy's excited that you're coming in. It certainly helps.
Yeah, I think so. We got a great product. And you're right. Losing Joe was a loss without question. He's had he's had a huge impact on our successes. It still is because of some of the kids that he recruited are still on the team. But recruiting is so relative. It's regardless of who you go after, you're going after them on somebody else's turf. Yeah. At least with us, because we don't have a built-in recruiting base. There'll be a player out of Kansas or the nearby area. Once every 2 years, maybe, or 3. But it's not like you got a great player from Atlanta where you got to beat everybody that recruits Atlanta. You got it from Detroit. You got Michigan State and Michigan right there. And then you always have the Dukes and the Carolinas and the Kentuckys that can go anywhere to get them. So it's relative. I've always thought it would be easier to recruit here. You know what? I think it may have been easier at Illinois because at Illinois, if you got the 6 best players in the stage here, if you got 3 of them, you're going to be in the tournament every year.
Yeah.
Here, I think it's a little bit more difficult to get those guys, but it may be a little bit easier to get a great one. So maybe he can go dabble somewhere and pull off a guy that's a difference maker that is, is going to be a pro because of the history and tradition and the product and those sorts of things. So we've been fortunate, but it's still not easy, And as you know, when you go head to head with Kentucky and Duke, that's not ever going to be a layup. You're gonna have to make a half court shot.
Yeah. It's going to be contested.
Yeah. Hey, before we let you go. Before we let you go, Coach, hey, Dad, one time I was coaching against Coach Self, and I actually thought I was working for him. We were at South Carolina. We were playing Kansas, and there was a bad call.
Bench,
and I looked up, and Bill was standing in front of our bench, and I was like, am I dreaming? Am I working for Kansas and Bill Self? So he was down there in front of our bench. He didn't like the way the official was officiating the game, so he decided to come to our bench and tell him. And then, for some reason, the whistle totally changed the rest of that game. Bill, you know how to work an official with the best of them, don't you? You know when to get that technical.
He's not going to admit that.
No, I don't. But you know what? There was a wet spot on the floor right in front of your bench, if I remember right. and I wanted to make sure the official saw to get that towel, out there. But I do remember that. I hadn't seen Dave Odom in a long time. I hadn't talked to him, so I guess I just decided to run down there and talk to you guys. Unfortunately, it was while the game was actually still going on.
Well, we got to come to Kansas. I think we got up on y'all 11-0, and then it was back and forth, and I think Simeon maybe broke his hand in the game.
Right,
he left the game. That he goes back to the locker room. We got a lead on him, and all of a sudden he comes jogging out of that tunnel over there. And as soon as I saw him come out of that tunnel, I said, "Oh boy, this is going to be a long night." And
that was a game. I actually remember the game pretty well. You guys had fought.
Yeah,
Ronaldo, and had us down, and then Wayne broke his hand. He was out for a while. I don't know if he came back and played.
Well, he did come back and play, Bill. Yeah. He dunked the ball at the end of the game to win it with a broken hand. So
he was a good player. He was a good player, but you're right. In a situation like that that you mentioned, that's where the crowd comes in, and they when things are down and out somehow or another, they're able to kind of rally us, at least historically. Hopefully that'll continue a little longer.
Well, Coach, you don't know how much we appreciate you being on the show with us.
Thank you.
Taking time to be on. Good luck. We were watching you in the Big 12 tournament, and I'm sure you guys will probably be a number 1 seed, and I hope you win it all.
Thanks a lot, Bill. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks.